Hello friends. Today in Brief Talk 4, I will discuss three mental rubrics from the Kent's repertory. Now I have seen in these three rubrics absent-minded, absorbed, and abstraction of mind. Before proceeding, I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Amarnath Chakraborty of Baripur North Unit of HOMAI, HMAI. I am indebted to him for I will say the major part of my knowledge of repertory, mental rubrics. He was a direct student of Dr. K.C. Das. And Dr. K.C. Das, many of you know or have heard, was a master of repertory. He understood the rubrics very well. And Dr. Amarnath Chakraborty was one of his direct disciples. And I think myself privileged that I have got his nearness and have been able to learn the mental rubrics from him. Now, based on that knowledge, today I will discuss these three rubrics because I have seen many confusion among many people regarding these three rubrics. So, the first one is absent minded. What is absent minded? Absent minded in Bengali we will say onno manoskota বা আনমনা অন্য মনস্কতা or inattentive to his surrounding. Now here what happens, the patient or the person, he all of a sudden loses his concentration and he stops paying attention to his surrounding. Suppose he was studying, a student on the study table while studying, all of a sudden looked out of the window, started thinking something. When the mother comes and calls, "Hello, Harry," or "Hello, uh, Mohan, what are you doing? Ki korchish?" And he will say, "Oh, okay, ma. Yes, ma, say. Ki hoyeche bolo." He will again come back from his inattentiveness. As soon as the mother calls, "Je, ki korchish?" and he will respond. Now, this brief temporary loss of concentration or absent-mindedness, inattentiveness. In class, we see sometimes someone has this nature of becoming inattentive often. The students they must have seen. Now, this phase, it is temporary. In Collins dictionary, it is said, someone who is absent-minded, forget things, does not pay attention to what they are doing, often because they are thinking about something else. So this inattention, it is mentioned here. Now this is a temporary phase, a momentary phase. If the person is called just once, immediately he will respond. He will come back from that absent-mindedness. He will return and he will respond. And in this absent-mindedness, if I will go to absorbed. If when I will discuss on absorbed, I will tell the difference. In absent-mindedness, uh, this temporary phase, which he returns immediately, and no concrete, no specific thought process goes on. Suppose a boy is thinking about what he will be playing that evening, or maybe he got an invitation for a birthday party next weekend. He started thinking, yeah, I will be going there to my friend's birthday party. What will happen? What we will be eating? What he will, what his mother will cook, and all these things. So different types of things at different times pop up. Now this why this happens? The concentration breaks very often. Sometimes we find people who are under emotions of, suppose, loss of a near one. He or she is in grief, and we find such person often absent-minded. Now, friends, will we take that symptom then, absent-mindedness? No. Sometimes we find somebody is very disturbed and he is not paying attention, he is absent-minded. Will we take it? There, here, absent-mindedness is not spontaneous. It is not his nature. It is, I will say, due to some another reason, another emotion, disturbance of mind, grief, or etc. So this is a conditional. Here, absent-mindedness is conditional, and we do not take conditional symptoms. Here, the main symptom is the emotion that is leading to absent-mindedness. That emotion has to be considered. So this symptom absent-minded will not be considered where it is due to some other emotion, because there it is conditional. So we have to remember, while taking symptoms and converting them to rubrics, we have to remember that the symptom should not be conditional. It should be the natural nature of the person, spontaneous symptom. Now absorbed. Second is absorbed. Absorbed is, in Bengali we can say গভীর ভাবে কোনো চিন্তায় অভিনিবিষ্ট বা চিন্তামগ্ন হয়ে থাকা। গভীরভাবে চিন্তামগ্ন হয়ে থাকা. Kent in his repertory has mentioned, after absorbed, buried in thoughts. Now this is important. Buried in thoughts. It is complete and I will say deep engrossment of the mind in a specific thought. Now here, when we see absorbed, and difference between absent-minded and absorbed is that in absent-minded there is not complete and deep engrossment. It is a superficial, temporary, momentary lack of concentration, inattentiveness. Absorbed, it is deep and complete isolation of the mind from the surrounding. In absorbed, it is complete isolation of the mind from the surrounding. So, in absent-mindedness, it is not complete isolation. The patient will respond immediately on calling. In absorbed, it is not so. The patient has to be shaken, and then he comes back. And when he comes back, an absorbed patient, he is a bit annoyed. When he's shaken, he will say, yeah, say, bolo ki hoyeche. And a bit disturbed, a bit annoyed he may be. Now, in the first case, absent-minded, the miasm playing in the background is Sora. Why Sora? Because number one, it is a temporary phase. It is not completely lost. The link is not lost. When he is called, he will answer back, he will return back. The link is not lost, temporary, and it is no fixed thought is playing in the mind. Once he can think of this, another time he can think of something else. Every now and then his concentration is broken. And now why the concentration is broken? Due to restlessness of mind. It is a phase of restlessness. So we know that restlessness is Sora, or this temporary uh, going and coming. This is Sora, not staying. In absorbed, it is deeply lost, isolated. And this isolation is psychosis. So absorbed is psychosis mechanism. There are many remedies, many medicines in the repertory under these two rubrics. And the third now I will say is abstraction of mind. When we say abstraction of mind, many of us who know Ramakrishna Paramhansa Dev, they may, they may have heard that he used to go in a trance, ভাবের ঘরে চলে যাওয়া. That trance where he is completely and deeply in another world, world of an abstract nature, away from this reality. He is staying there. So there is a shade of difference between absorbed and abstraction. In abstraction, he is preoccupied or withdrawn from the worldly things. মনটা সম্পূর্ণভাবে অন্য জগতে বাস করে, which is visionary, which is imaginary. It is not about the reality. We often find such thing in autistic children. They have an imaginary world of their own, a visionary world of their own. And even after calling, even after knocking, they do not return in the real world. Here also, psychosis miasm is the playing in the background. Now, it is far, far more the difference between absorbed and abstraction. In absorbed, a concrete with a concrete thought in his mind, the person is buried in that thought. In abstraction of mind, the person is away in an illusionary, imaginary world. These are the differences. Absent mindedness we often find, absorbed in thought, seldom we find, abstraction of mind, more seldom we find. But when we get a patient, we must be able to differentiate. Thank you.